lovely to see you all. Thank you for coming. Subject for this evening, rather randomly, is learning and knowledge, or knowledge and learning. So I'll start off with a question. Who feels that they know everything that they need to know? Who's got nothing that they need to learn?
Yeah, I just to be young again.
So all the old ones say, no, I need to learn more, and then they're like, no, I know it all. Maybe I should rephrase it, because in terms of what we need to know, I suppose, as grown-ups, as fully functioning grown-ups, we probably know what we need. We can feed ourselves. We know how to go out to work to earn money so that we can pay bills to have a house to live in and eat it, and buy clothes so that we can dress ourselves, and all that kind of practical nonsense. In terms of what we need to know, we perhaps are about there. But do we know everything that we would like to know? I certainly don't.
No.
I certainly don't. I think there's more out there. So we'll start off with a little mindful exercise, and then we will investigate that topic a little more in a minute. Would you like to do some clapping?
Everyone's favourite exercise is...
Okay, we'll do some clapping. I'll stand to clap, because then I can move around and get warm, and you can... I'm not going to. So most of you know the clapping, which is where we all clap together, for your benefit, Anna. This exercise is very straightforward, and all we do is clap. But instead of it... So I clap, and you clap at the same time as I do. I don't count you in. You are just mindful and observant and aware, and you follow my lead. And the aim is that it doesn't sound like 8 people randomly clapping. It sounds like one clap. That's the aim. So, are we ready? I don't know, these next southerners. Right. That's not bad for the first one, because usually the first one's rubbish. That was pretty good. I'll give you too much leading when I do that. And as you clap, just connect with your breath as well, so you're aware of breathing. One more.
We're getting good at that one, aren't we?
You are. But it's a nice. I mean, as I've said before, it started off as when I first saw people doing it, was like this little team building thing that they did, just to get the group together. And I thought it is a mindful exercise. You have to be very aware and in tune and in the moment in order to be able to be receptive and responsive. And I think it does the job. It does get you aware.
I haven't done it, but it's something we can do at home as well, isn't it?
Well, exactly.
But I haven't done it, but I
You've
will
not done
now. We've talked about it.
Sit round. It's one for Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're all sat around the Christmas dinner table, now you go, right, everybody, we're going to clap first.
Yeah.
Okay. So we started off just sort of thinking about learning, whether we know everything that we need to know. Is there anybody learning anything at the moment? Is anybody going to I'm hoping you're learning something. There was a hand sort of...
Yeah, well, I'm learning the martial arts. I'm learning.
Okay, so you're going to classes. Which martial arts is it you're learning?
Karate.
Okay. Anybody else?
I'm learning how to do stained glass.
You're learning... Oh, fantastic. Stained glass.
I've been learning how to use a computer.
You're learning how to use the computer.
Last
Okay.
year, 6 months, yeah.
Okay. Anybody over on this side? Have you learned anything? Have you learned anything today? What did you learn today?
I went to school, I know.
Did some literacy. What's the topic? What's the subject you're doing in literacy?
Street Town.
With, sorry?
Street Town.
Oh, right, okay.
The book
Right,
that we read.
right. Okay.
And a few days ago, I drew a picture of the main character buying the pie with his last shilling.
Right. Excellent.
I learned about old money.
Yeah, sure.
Merchant.
You can teach us some things.
Okay, so in terms of the way that we are learning this stuff, how does it take place? So your karate, how do you learn the karate?
By joining in, it's very wide, the subject, so you're not shown it, you have to learn it over time.
Mm-hmm.
So, you go in, you do whatever, and whoever's taking the class follow their instruction.
Right, okay.
And then you might go off and work in groups to make, I don't know, if you're doing the kata, you might want to improve on that. If you're sparring, you might want to improve on your sparring.
So there's an instructor, there's a teacher, and they come in, and do they talk or do they just demonstrate?
Oh,
Bit of both.
yeah,
Okay.
talk and
So they
demonstrate.
give you some instruction, some verbal instruction, they give you some visual demonstration, and then so you have to listen to what they say, you have to watch what they do, and then you go
mix
away.
things up as well when they're giving instruction, so you never know that once you've learned, they'll throw things in. Every class is different,
Okay.
so you have to be, even if you're tired, listening, thinking in the moment.
So you have to be aware.
Very.
You have to be
And
aware.
you get it wrong all the time.
And then you go and you practice.
Yes, and then you practice
And
at home.
repeat.
You can move.
Okay. You're stained glass. How do you learn the stained glass? Are you being taught by somebody?
Being taught, yes, but she's taught us the basics, and it's just a question of going, well, we sit in a group and chat and play, basically.
Okay.
We just decide what to do, sort of chopping up bits of glass and sort of putting them on the grinder and seeing what fits round, and
So I suppose similarly, there's been that element of instruction. Somebody's told you something, somebody's shown you something, and then there's the practice, which, as you've said, is more kind of in the form of play, which is a great way to learn, a fantastic way to learn.
Yes.
That's one of the best ways to learn. Okay. How about your computer training?
Class is just in a room, like a classroom really. And then he put me on a module, I think it's called, and then if I need, where you were sitting, I've got to if I need help. A lot of it's on my own, but
Right.
out there if I need it.
So there's the instructor,
and
who
then
gives some
stuff-
instruction, but they give you the task,
Yeah, that's right.
and you do the task,
Like that, if you want help. It's not really back
and
at
then-
school,
but then-
really,
right.
but that's okay.
okay, and then there's the assistance.
Being quiet and all that stuff, I'm learning that, to be quiet. That's quite a learning curve, but I enjoyed it.
Okay. Interesting. Good. So there's some themes, some commonality there to the theme. Right. Let's do another exercise and then we'll explore that a little more. Let's sit and begin by just having a little look around. So we're engaging ourselves. So we've already said when we were talking about learning the karate that we have to be aware, listening, seeing, looking, and the same with the stained glass, with learning the computers, and I'm guessing learning at school as well. You have to be aware, watching what the teacher's saying, listening, watching what the teacher's saying, listening to what the teacher's saying, watching what they're doing, and so we have to be able to tune into our senses. So we'll do that now. So just look around, open your eyes, and see what you can see. Just a allow the visual information in as you see it in this moment. And once you've had a look around, you can close your eyes and you can move your awareness to what you can feel. So you can feel the weight of your body sat in the chair. You can feel your head on top of your neck and your shoulders. As you relax, you can feel gravity taking its effect on your shoulders and pulling them down. You can be aware of gravity pulling down through your spine, all the way down through your bottom, through the seat of the chair. You can be aware of your feet in contact with the floor. Aware of the clothes on your skin. You can be aware of the faint movement of air on your skin, on your hands, on your face, on your neck. Just very faint. You can feel the air moving. Now take a breath through the nose and just smell. Just be aware of smell at this moment in time. And if your nose is completely bunged up, be aware of the fact that you can't smell. Then be aware of taste. The taste in your mouth, just at this precise moment in time. And finally, just listen. Just be aware of sound. Accept the sound as it happens. There's lots of different ways that we can learn things. You know, it's not always teacher in front of us teaching. We can, there's instructional videos, we can watch those. You know, in this day and age, YouTube's fantastic if you want to learn something. You know, I've used it myself for learning things on the guitar. So you can guarantee there's a YouTube video of somebody showing you. Well, I suppose this is instructor-led again, going back to it. But there's, you know, there are other instructional videos. Books, I mean, books are fantastic, they're one of my favourites. And I actually brought, this was a book I had when I was young. So this is over 30 years old, this book. And I'm sure a lot of you have got this. It's got me Snaps dragon in the front with my name on it.
No.
But I'm going to teach you some stuff now. Let's see. See if you can find something.
I'll go for that.
Have you?
It's not as old as that one, but it's quite a while ago.
Why not?
Okay. Do we know how the turbojet and the jet engine works? Anybody interested in that? No, that's probably a bit boring.
There's no men here.
No.
I know it's
You probably don't want to know about brick making either, do you? How about meaning of boys' names? Give me a boy's name, I'll tell you. Anybody got?
John.
John. That'll be in here. John. That comes from the Hebrew, meaning God's gracious gift. Is John your other half?
No.
Oh. It's not just the first name that came into your head.
In the moment.
He's not God's gracious gift.
Yeah. It's close, it's James. It's close.
James, oh,
Probably be
greatest name in the world. James means, also from Hebrew, means the supplanter. I'm not quite sure what supplanter means. I'm going to have to look that up. That's something I'm going to have to learn now. Supplanter means. Do you want to know? Do you want to know who the first team to win the FA Cup? The old Carthusians in 1880, the 1880-81 season, the old Carthusians, followed by the old Etonians after that, then Blackburn Olympic.
Kind of retaining that information.
Yeah, well that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it?
You've got to be
Retaining it.
interested
Yeah,
to retain it.
Yeah, very true.
And even then it's difficult,
Got to be
yeah, absolutely.
interested, yeah.
That's where the practice comes in, isn't it? That's where the practice comes in. Because even facts, like the facts in that book, you can learn facts, but you have to repeat them. Just because, very rarely. Sometimes somebody will tell you something once and it will stick, but more often than not, it takes time.
Yeah, I
to
noticed
read
that
it
at work,
again
like
and
in a
again.
job, and I feel like I'm always asking.
And the older you get, the harder it gets.
Something
The
today
more you
I
have to
said,
do.
I know you told me, but please can you tell me again?
And there's learning by your mistakes as well. If you
There is.
do something, you make a big enough mistake, you won't do it again.
I thought I was learning to drive that.
Why are people so afraid of failure?
I know. As I tell my children,
People are so
there's a
afraid of getting
saying,
it
isn't
wrong.
there? Yeah. As a man who makes no mistakes makes nothing. I don't know who said it.
I thought that
Well, there's
was
That's what I tell my girls.
There's some of the I'm trying to think.
learning to drive off like that. It was quite repetitive. I didn't pass my test, but it still, as you say, it failed. And in the end, I said I didn't pass. I didn't like saying
No,
I said I
just
didn't pass my test yet.
weren't successful in passing.
Yeah, that's right.
But even people like Einstein, there are famous quotes attributed to them which concern making mistakes and failure. I think it was Einstein or someone that liked that said a man that's made no mistakes never succeeded at anything.
No.
It was either Einstein or Henry Ford.
So you try your best. I used to tell boys at a young day, you try your best. It might not be the top, but you're still trying, aren't you?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I try different things.
Should never.
You're scared of judgment, aren't you?
Yeah.
I think it comes as an adult though, because, just working with the children, the younger class that we work in, they don't mind making mistakes. It doesn't, they've moved on after that mistake and tried to get it. As adults, I think we hold on to,
Remember it.
yeah, and kind of think that,
Last time.
reflect that as a bit of a failure, and instead of going, right, that's a mistake, get it right.
Move on.
Well, there's a mindful observation there, in that the children, they move on from it.
Yeah, very quickly. Seconds.
It's in the past.
Brilliant. Yeah.
That mistake, that failure, is in the past. So we move on from it.
Carry it sometimes,
Into this
don't
moment.
we?
Whereas, as adults who are prone to not being mindful, cling on to those things and stew on it and ponder it and analyse it. Yeah, and analyse it. And whilst sometimes we think that analysing of our mistakes is learning from them, it isn't. It's just doing your head in. Exactly. It's stuff, and it's just going over it. It's where you subconsciously learn from it. As soon as you make that mistake, you subconsciously learn from it, or unconsciously, and the next time it arises, your mind will be triggered and go, I know what to do now. You don't need to stew on it; it'll go in there. Okay. So the next thing is we've all said that we have the capacity to learn more. We all feel there are more things that we could Who here could teach us something? Does anybody, do you feel, do you people feel you have a skill that you could teach to people, the other people in the group? Anybody? A fact, a bit of knowledge, anything?
I'll show you some karate.
Yeah.
Please do. Please do. Come on.
I've got my trainers on today.
You can show me how to be more coordinated.
And clean up your
I can't show you that.
Wait, there's something new in there.
Did everybody follow that?
Yeah.
So this evening we've learned something. Julie, thank you, Julie.
Yes.
Anybody else got anything that they could teach us?
Oh, come on, I was nervous. Go on.
A poem, a song, a joke. Does anybody know a joke?
I've got the world's worst memory for that sort of thing, so I can never remember the punchline.
Have you got a joke? You must have a joke. Go on, tell us a joke. Teach us a joke. Knock, knock. Who's there?
Doctor,
Doctor who?
you just said
Very good. Now, I'm sure that all of us have something that we could teach everybody else. You know, whether it's our special secret sponge recipe, or how to make something else, or craft something. You know, you're a crafter. I'm sure there are lots of things. Techniques. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure there's loads of stuff that you could teach. Everybody has. I guess the point I'm trying to get across is that whilst we all have the capacity to learn something, we also all have the capacity to teach something. So whilst we can learn, we can also educate. Right. Let's do another little exercise. Let's just do a few mindful arm movements. Okay, so what we do now is as we breathe in, we bring the arms up until our hands or our fingers touch at the top, and then we breathe out, and just lower the arms. And just repeat that. In, bring the arms together, and out, bring the arms apart. And as you're doing that, just be aware of the movement of your arms and the sensation of breathing in and breathing out. And just follow each movement as it happens. Open your eyes. Okay. So where does the mindfulness come in? I mean, we've touched on it a little bit. You know, we've talked about failure and how we shouldn't be afraid of failure because we can easily just put it behind us, move on to the next, and allow our unconscious mind to learn from the failure. But we need to be mindful when we're learning. If we're not aware, then we're not going to. It's going to be very difficult for us to learn. If we're not, we've already talked about how we learn, and often it's instructor-led. There's somebody teaching us. There's somebody showing us what to do. So we have to watch. We have to listen.
It's easier than reading something.
Yeah.
It is.
When I read something, sometimes I'll read a paragraph and think, I don't know anything that I've just read because my mind's got to be somewhere else and I have to read it again. So if you put something there in front of you, so it's more to read, not to listen to.
Well, it's easier. It's easier to be mindful. Definitely. It's definitely easier to be mindful and aware when somebody is
If I'm like at work or nothing until, and somebody comes out and I say it out loud, right, okay, press that button, okay, press beauty if there's that card. I'm saying it out loud when the customer's there and I just sit, and they don't seem to mind. I just say, I find it easier because I've been told, oh, that person, and I'll say it. But it helps me, so it doesn't matter, does it? What
Because it
people
doesn't
think,
matter. It
you
doesn't
know.
matter what other people
And there
think.
might be loads of customers in the shop, but as long as I'm dealing with that person and I'm saying, you know, press that button and it comes up out loud. Well, I wasn't really aware that I was saying it out loud until this customer looked at me and I went, oh, I'm really sorry. I got through the transaction all right because I was thinking about it, but I said it out loud. Press that, press that. So, I don't know if it helps.
Well, it does. It does. But it certainly helps be mindful. You know, it helps be mindful when you're reading, because it sounds to me like when you're reading, if it's not going in, you're not reading mindfully, because you're distracted. But it is certainly easier to be mindful when there's somebody else there, because generally, people that are skilled teachers are able to maintain your awareness. That's one of the skills of being a good teacher, is somebody who can capture people's attention and be good communicators.
Maybe that's where I'm going from, because I teach children's fitness instructor.
Okay.
When I teach, I did a lesson today, and they won't listen to me at all. So maybe that's where I'm going from.
Maybe. One of the best things to do is to be really mindful yourself when you're teaching. Be in the moment, because you're a far more effective communicator if you're aware, if you're in the moment, because you're not distracted by your own thoughts, and you're aware of what's going on, and how the other people are, and how they're responding to what you're saying. So, yeah, both for learning and for teaching, being mindful is one of the most effective tools.
I was rather distracted today by a certain person.
Really. Don't be.
It's hard.
It is hard. Well, I've done this group with my little 6-year-old here. It was funny, and it was hard work, and it really tested my focus, or my ability to be mindful. But I don't know whether I managed.
I was quite aware of it when he was doing things because he was like dancing in the background. And I was like, trying to do the exercise, and then he was like going bloop bloop. I thought it was good.
I just brought in, he just came along to test all of your powers of mindfulness.
I think it's right there because my girls do karate in the class, the children's class, and I ask not to be given their group because I find it much harder to teach my own children. But I'll say that we're going to be doing this, and but they can be distracting, should I say?
They can be distracting.
Yeah.
I think they're more aware when you're not mindful. So just as a mum, I don't teach children, but they know full well if I'm paying full attention to them or not, if I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah.
And they've known that from really, really young.
Well, that's
things you
that
wouldn't ordinarily agree to.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's because for children, the most valuable thing to them is your attention.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what they crave. That's their currency. Is your attention. And so if you're not giving them your attention, they're absolutely aware of when they're not getting it. Painfully
that
aware.
ice cream, all that pound.
Yeah, and they right from the moment that they first emerge, kicking and screaming into this world, they are attuned to your attention and learning how to get it and how to manipulate it. So they're very adept at that. They're very There's nothing more Machiavellian than a child craving attention. Where was I? Well, we were talking about being mindful and being mindful both to learn and to teach. And I had another point that I was going to make. Yes. We think that learning is about gaining and developing intelligence. Now, I've met some incredibly intelligent people, or incredibly qualified people. Incredibly qualified. Done lots of training, they've got degrees, masters, PhDs, you name it, they've got certificates coming out of their ears. Are they knowledgeable? I suppose so, yes. There's lots of knowledge gone in. There's lots of facts that they can regurgitate. Are they intelligent? Not always. I think some of the stupidest people I've ever met are seemingly intellectuals. Why is that? Why is it that these people who have devoted their lives to learning and amassing knowledge are actually stupid?
Have no common sense.
They have no common sense. They are lacking awareness. Because that's what common sense comes down to, doesn't it? Being aware. Aware of, aware of your own physical space and not knocking things over. Aware of what's going on around you, aware of other people, aware of how other people, that the ability to empathise, aware of how other people are thinking and feeling, being tuned into that. Being aware of how what you say and do will impact upon other people. How many of those so-called intellectuals just come across as rude and obnoxious and speak without thought and are arrogant? Because
that's
there's
sometimes incredibly boring as well.
Exactly. Stupid.
Yeah, there's no connection, so they don't.
No connection. Yeah.
So you can have all of the
Yeah.
learning and knowledge in the world, but what good does it do you? Not a huge amount if people think that you're boring and stupid and obnoxious. So, my conclusion is that you don't need to be the cleverest, most wellest educated person in the world. If you are mindful, one, you will learn easily and without even realising it, because you will be aware and you will learn about what's going on around you. You will learn from other people because you will be aware of what they are doing, what they are saying, and what their actions are. And you will learn from yourself. You will learn about yourself because you will be aware of how you're thinking, how you're responding. You won't react to situations, you'll respond, and you'll be aware of how you feel about things. You'll be able to learn about how you feel about that. And that will make you a nicer person, somebody who can empathise, somebody who can communicate. And if you have all of those things, the ability, empathy, communication skills, awareness.
It's true, sometimes you can connect with people and sometimes you can't.
Well, that's it.
It's weird that.
But you'll be a nicer person, and you'll be an interesting person.
Because I say to them, you don't get me, you just don't get me.
But the more mindful you are, the easier it is to connect.
Yeah.
It's true. Well, I know, it's not always easy, but it's true. The more mindful you are, and if two people are mindful as well, then it's very easy to connect. And that's certainly true, going back to what you were saying about teaching. If you're teaching people, if you're mindful, then you'll connect. And then you'll be able to engage them. Okay. So yeah.
If you're so rich.
If you're so rich. Or you can just go off and educate yourself into oblivion and become one of those obnoxious people living in a bubble that doesn't have to be mindful because they know everything. Exactly, but who needs friends when you've got, boring books to read? Right, we'll finish off with some breathing, and I will invite the bowl to sound.
Oh, you haven't met the bowl.
Oh dear. Excuse me. Okay. So So for the next few moments, we're just going to connect with our breath. Breathing is something that happens in the present moment. You can't breathe in the past. You can't breathe in the future. You can only breathe in this moment in time right now. So by becoming aware of your breath, aware of breathing in and breathing out, and just following that motion, it instantly brings you to the present moment. Because that's what mindfulness is all about, just being in the present moment. I should have said that at the beginning. I'm sure you picked that up by now. Okay, so what we do is, for the next few moments, you can close your eyes if you wish, just breathe in and out. And be aware of how it feels to breathe in and breathe out. Be aware of the movement of your body, the movement of air. And I'll invite the bowl to sound as you breathe. And if your mind wanders, if you find yourself distracted and thinking about other things, that's fine. Just accept that at that moment it's wandered, and just bring your awareness back to breathing and following the breath. As you follow your breath, become aware of the three components. Breathing in, breathing out, and then the little pause between breaths. Just allow yourself to relax into that pause as you become aware of it. Within that pause between breaths, just be aware of absolute stillness, absolute peace, and absolute mindfulness. One of the most important things that you can be aware of is that in that pause between breaths, in this moment, you're absolutely fine. In that pause between breaths, at this moment, there's nothing to worry about. Everything is absolutely fine. See you all next week. Keep learning.
You will wake up